Welcome back to Worth Weekly News. This week, in the midst of the shipyard event, there was a Q&A with Anton, the CEO of Gaijin, on the website WCCFtech. There's also a lot of speculation going around of when 1.93 is going to be released, so we'll get to that in a second. First, hit that subscribe button. Let's go over this interview. A question that I felt was very interesting, really grabbed my attention for this interview, was along the lines of Anton's opinion on the Epic Game Store and if War Thunder would ever appear there. And Anton had quite a few things to say, so I'll just read the question and then I'm going to give you some of the more important bits of the answer. After some mindless fluff, Anton said, as a platform for online games, Steam has several long-time unresolved issues, you're one to talk, and very small added value. Things like CDN, cloud saves, and farms are obviously not applicable to online games. They usually already have those anyways. To name a few, currently, it is an overcrowded store with very small visibility, a complete inability to track leads, and so the inability to use performance marketing, lack of A/B tests, and general options to customize game pages. Although we do have War Thunder launched on Steam, that launch was done a long time ago, when Steam actually exposed games to a broad audience. In Steam's current state, we wouldn't have launched the game on Steam at all, regardless of the appearance of Epic Game Store. Most users that we have there, we brought to ourselves, and Steam just gets its rather big commission benefiting from our efforts. What I find a bit funny about this is I wouldn't have played War Thunder if it wasn't on Steam at the time. I would have seen it as some sketchy, weird free-to-play game. Steam kind of gave it a little bit of legitimacy. However, that's rather anecdotal. Anton goes on to say, as for Epic Game Store, they currently have some obvious advantages: better visibility, customizable game pages, and smaller commission. At the same time, they haven't launched any free-to-play third-party titles that do performance marketing, so we have yet to see if they allow lead tracking. I have no idea what lead tracking is. Anyway, let's hope that companies will learn something from their rivals' strengths, overcome their weaknesses, and we'll be living in a better world tomorrow. Now, I thought the answer to this question was rather interesting because it takes the whole Epic Game Store controversy and sees it into a different light from a developer's point of view instead of the fans. As we all know what the fans like, they don't like Epic Game Store, but I do wonder what most developers actually think of this. However, this should answer the clickbait title that I put on this video, although it has very little to do actually with War Thunder, as War Thunder's not going to Epic Game Store anytime soon. However, in this interview, there were quite a few things that would link quite directly to War Thunder. For example, the first question was asking if there's going to be a sequel to War Thunder, more of essentially of where War Thunder is going in the future, and he kind of gave the stock answer for where that is. But on the subject of a sequel, he made his point about War Thunder being a living and evolving game, and having a sequel would just cannibalize the audience and then increase the queue times. That's right. It all comes back down to those pesky queue times. There's also a good amount of questions about technological improvements that we could see. First off was one for Global Illumination coming to War Thunder, or Gaijin games in general, which I thought was kind of interesting because back in 1.77 we were supposed to get Global Illumination. So either it got added like how Ghost Shells got fixed, or perhaps they're going to improve Global Illumination. And there's also the possibility this is only referring to Cuisine Royale, which should be getting Global Illumination in its next upcoming update. There's also a question for if there's going to be any major technological updates for the Donger engine, and if any of their titles are coming to the Switch, because they have talked about that in the past. Their response was that the next obvious update was for support for modern APIs such as DirectX 12 and Vulkan, which would allow them to have support for things like RTX, which would be really cool to see in War Thunder. And I've also heard that Vulkan functions better on Linux, so Linux players might get a break there. And on the subject of the Switch, Gaijin has already ported one of their Donger engine based games to the console, so the Switch team has already started work with the console. The only Gaijin developed game I can find on the Switch is Blades of Time, which was from 2012. So I guess that is using the Donger engine, but it would be very interesting and quite odd to see the game there, as it would add another platform to this quagmire of crossplay. I wonder what character is going to be the beginning of Switch players' names. But on the subject of other platforms, there was questions about some of the up-and-coming ones. The first one was about Google's Stevia console, and Anton supports the idea of cloud gaming, but War Thunder is not going to the Stevia. And then there's one about the up-and-coming coming generation of consoles and his opinion on those. And he replied with, "I am not sure how much I can reveal publicly. Let's just say I am very excited about the features and capabilities of the new console generation." Now, in my opinion, even if these consoles are as strong as the average gaming computer, or stronger even, at their date of release, this will not, I don't think, affect War Thunder's top performance at all, as I believe how it goes. Most of the Russian users of War Thunder play on really outdated hardware. That's why the ultra low quality setting is there. So stronger consoles, unfortunately, is not going to help those lads. However, I do hear that War Thunder runs like hot garbage on the Xbox One and PS4, whatever iteration we're on. In terms of other random articles about things that somehow relate to War Thunder, there was a really boring Wired article about something PlayStation or Sony related. I didn't bother reading it. However, a forum user by the name of M8 Greyhound at Live, which means he's an Xbox user, spotted at the end of this article, it states that while it's not announcing the news explicitly, the PS4's crossplay efforts have officially moved out of the beta stage, meaning that the console can support crossplay on any titles that the studios provide the functionality for. This means that Modern Warfare may be the first major title to take advantage of it at launch, and likely won't be the last. This is great news for especially Xbox players who don't even have access to simulator battles. Well, honestly, you're not missing out on too much because of the low player base. On the subject of people being hyped for this Stortin dude made the comment, "There are a lot of strings attached and we are negotiating currently for a long time already, actually. I can't say more on this point." I'm not sure if this is going to actually lead to anything, as it sounds like it could, but it also sounds like it's going to be more of the same. As Story Team Dude said, that they have been negotiating on this for a while now, and if it was going to happen, I think it would have happened by now. Personally, I'd really like the ability to buy Golden Eagles for people on PS4 and Xbox. I don't understand why not. Well, there's a lot of this I don't understand, and it's probably a bunch of boring legal garbage. Something that we actually know is going to happen is the release of patch 1.93. We just don't know exactly when it will happen. There's been a lot of speculation on when people think it is going to happen. For example, on the VK War Thunder blog, the fan raid one that commonly has all the leaks on it, they had a statement of 1.93 will be released in late October, 1.95 will be in December. While this message was later changed, as a lot of the messages below their title is, I don't think you need any sources or leaks to prove that 1.93 is going to happen really soon, as we've gotten statements from the Story Team dudes saying that there will be 2 more patches this year, and there's only 3 months left. If we were to look back on history, 1.83 came out on the 23rd of October 2018, 1.73 came out on the 1st of November 2017, and 1.63 came out on the 29th of September 2016. Of those patches from yesteryear, 2 of them included a new tech tree, one the French Air Force and one the British Navy. So it wouldn't be unexpected to see another Air Force, perhaps Swedish. And there has been plenty of hints saying that we might see a Swedish tech tree this year. However, there's nothing for certain. The most recent I could think of is Sim1080p replying to someone saying that perhaps other SPGs with terrible turret reverse could use the hull aiming. He said the system is specifically for vehicles with fixed guns that have no turret traverse. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think it actually means anything, but I want to believe. Really, all I want with a Swedish tree is to be able to yeet a 155mm HE shell onto one of them flat tanks. Let's see how your angle will do against that. Besides the addition of a Swedish Air Force, the only other vehicles that I could say were rather certain were other Mach 2 jets for the other nations, so you can't really leave them without for so long. One of the sources of the information for my 1.91 leak list episode 2 stated quite a few things. Some of them did trim true, but some did not. One of the things that were stated was that there was actually quite a few other vehicles that were finished that didn't appear in the patch. For example, there was the F-104G, F-110C, F-4E, F-4J, and F-4G. Those particular aircraft actually saw use all around the world, so they wouldn't just be regulated to the US tree. I don't know who used what variant, but I can say of the F-104, the US, Germany, Japan, Italy, France, and China used it, well, Taiwan. And of the F-4, the US, Germany, Japan, and UK, and even Australia, gotta mark that down from Australian tree, used it. And of the MiG-21, of course, Russia and China used it, but also East Germany and later Germany made use of that jet. So in general, just of those few aircraft, there's a lot of potential for all the other trees. Also, what I expect for the next patch is all of the vehicles that were marked soon on the proposed Chinese tech trees that came up in the first dev blog about them. Of those was force bags, a ATGM carrier, an actual tank, and a light tank. The force bags were the SDK ZF222, which is like the Squeezy Boy but with 20. Personally, I feel like we should see one of these in the German tree as well, though I unfortunately feel that is unlikely. The ZSD63, which is a Type 63 personnel carrier with what I assume is two 23mm cannons. It looks like it could be pretty neat, although it lacks a lot of armor. Then a M24 Duster, and then the PGZ80, which is actually just a ZSU 57-2. The CM25 TOW, I believe, is essentially the Taiwanese take on the M113. The ZTZ-96, or Type 96, is a very modern main battle tank. This will most likely be China's first 10.0 tank. The other tank, the ZTS-63A, is an improvement to the Type 63, and it's one heck of an improvement. The 85mm gun was traded in for a 105mm gun capable of firing APFSDS and possibly even ATGMs, and it got an improvement to its engine, being able to hit 75 kilometers an hour and 14 in the water. However, like the original, it also suffers from a lack of armor, though at top tier where this thing would be, armor isn't exactly the most necessary thing, and having APFSDS fly right through you can be a good thing. So I guess I'll ask, what do you think is going to come in 1.93, and when do you think 1.93 is going to come? And that's just about everything I have for this week. But before I get to the end, I want to first thank Pointless Gun Sinks, Perk You Up, Waffly Joker 6, and the Royal Rat for joining my channel for $5 a month. But if you have any comments or concerns about the things I brought up in this video, please hit me down below or on my Discord. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you don't like the video, do not hit the like button. If you want to see more, I make War Thunder Weekly news videos every weekend. Sunday. I make random videos throughout the week. I make streams on Saturday, and I want to stream on Twitch more, so be sure to follow me there, and hit that bell icon to be notified anytime I upload anything. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a great day. On the Steam store page, very oddly enough, among the screenshots of the game includes a Japanese skinned F4C. This is not an actual thing in game, it's a user skin. I'm pretty sure it's not even in the marketplace. Gaijin, who on your marketing team was like, let's put something that's not in the game into the game, and god damn it, phone?